Namaskar and welcome to. And last week we have completed our one of the best scripture uh, was given by Saint Narad Bhakti Sutra. It was such a wonderful discussion. Even I myself enjoyed it so good. I enjoyed this very much. And missing that scripture because Bhakti Sutra was full of devotion. But then again, we'll be starting a new scripture, which is one of the most known religious texts in the eastern part of this world. Even though people say it's a Hindu scripture, but I don't say that way. Better way I say it is a kind of philosophy, Eastern philosophy. And this particular religious text will give us a details idea of the how primarily Hindus practice, and then beyond the Hindu community, how the people around the world can use the unique teachings of Bhagavad Gita, apply their life, and motivate themselves and face the reality of the world. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita will be presenting from today. It will be around 25 of lectures on Bhagavad Gita, 25 weeks. Hopefully we'll finish by that time. And I will request everybody that you could sit with your family, because even the children will be benefited from this discussion. They will be able to know what actually we practice and what are the contribution of the people from the eastern part of this world, and they gave to this world. And so before we go to the book, let me just say a prayer to the Bhagavan Sri Krishna and to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guruji. Akhandamandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Badanam Dhyaye Sarva Vigna Pashantaye Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Chaiva Tato Jayo Mudirai Vyasam Vasishtam Aptaram Shaktre Potram Akalmasam Parasharatmajam Bande Ukotatam Tapunidhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahma Vidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Achatur Vadano Brahma Dibahu Paraharihi Abhalolochanaha Shambhu Bhagavan Badarayani He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Namo Tapto Kanchana Varanangi Srimati Radha Vrindavaneshwari Brishabhanu Sutam Devi Twang Namami Hari Priye Om Namo Sri Bhagavati Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. So from today we are starting Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Regarding Bhagavad Gita, one of the best word I was reading today, it is being, lot of people they say this way, the Gita is the best and most illuminating commentary on Hinduism. That's the simple word we could use of the Bhagavad Gita. But before we go to the main book, need to just go a little bit of this inside. What is the, in the, especially the first verse of the Gita Dhyan. Gita is Geet, the divine song of the Lord. And we all know it was given by none other than Lord Sri Krishna at a battleground known as Kurukshetra. Usually we discuss religious discussion, usually people do in a temple, at the bank of a river, or sitting in front of the altar, or in a monastery. But we see the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita was given at a battleground. And we all, battleground is not a place for religious discussion, religious discourse. And we all know that a place where lot of people will be involved in the, kind of lots of destruction will be going on. We cannot imagine that people, the standing there or sitting there talking of the religion or philosophy. But this unique teachings was given in a battlefield. And the first student of the Bhagavad Gita was the most busy person of that time. We all know the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna. And the first student of the Bhagavad Gita was Arjuna. So basically when this discourse was going on, or this dialogue was going on, there was only two people. Krishna is the speaker and Arjuna was the student or listener. Only two people. At least in that particular place. And so we naturally, it's a question to us, why a text like Srimad Bhagavad Gita was delivered at a battleground. Because sometimes people criticize, like in somewhere in Russia, they banned the preaching of the Bhagavad Gita. But then finally Prime Minister Narendra Modi called and he explained that no, the way we thinking of the Bhagavad Gita is not like that. Because Bhagavad Gita is a lifelong lesson. As we grow up with the age, maturity, our experience of life, and so the meaning and appeal of the Bhagavad Gita also keep changing to us. And believe me, if you sit down and listen from today to till we finish, it will be a wonderful spiritual journey. You will enjoy it. You will be feeling that in all this turmoil going on all around the world, that something we did good, which probably if it was a normal time, you would never get this opportunity. It will be a wonderful spiritual journey. And bit by bit, we togetherly walking towards will be, walking at a journey. It will make us more mature, more broad, more understanding, more caring, more loving, more dutiful, more responsible, more, it will build up the power of toleration, understanding, will like each other, love each other more. And when we finish the book, you will feel that something we did in our life, it's really, really unique and wonderful. And you all know that I have been spending many years in Bhagavad Gita, studying, writing. I have been living in the United States of America almost 26 years now. If I did something good in this country, writing the commentary of this unique scripture, spending hour after hour time thinking of the Bhagavan Sri Krishna, looking in the computer screen, look like a battleground in front of me. Bhagavan Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna, the soul of the all soul, beautifully explaining the secrets of life, secrets of spirituality to his most beloved student Arjuna. It will be really unique journey, spiritual journey. So please, try to attend all classes and all these lectures, and if possible, bring your family and friends also together. And you will say that at the end of this journey, you will say, Swamiji, thank you for doing these things. So let me go to the only one verse I will do to the Gita Dhyanam first, and then I will try to go to the chapter 1 today. Let me see how far we could go. So this is the very first verse of the Gita Dhyanam. Please keep in mind that today we're starting the one of the very high philosophical discussion. We'll try to go deep inside and bring the juice outside in the spiritual world. Because usually people understand that religion means doing some rituals, going to temple, maybe you standing only 1 minute, just you do pranam or do bow to the images of the gods and goddesses, and that's it. No. What we starting today, we will go deep inside of the Bhagavad Gita and bring the juice out, and then we'll try to drink that Gita nectar. So we'll be needing a little bit patience and concentration also, so that we don't get any disturb or diverted. We should not allow our mind to divert in any way. So we all know that the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the way we see the language in the Bhagavad Gita, is in very old Sanskrit language. And some people say that the teachings of Bhagavad Gita was given around 5,000 years before Christ. Some people say 3,000, some people say around 5,000 years back, before Christ. So please keep in mind, this is one of the old teaching we are going to start today. This we reading, our ancestor read, they always, that try to understand the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. And when they took their last breath of life, they try to recite 1 or 2 verses from here and take their last breath in life. Anytime we go to pray to the hospital, to the the bedside of a patient, we always recite some verses from Holy Gita. And it is being encouraged also. Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj always say that remember all those verses or slokas, which is very important in your day-to-day life. So it was given in Sanskrit language, but the Bhagavad Gita was composed by Vedavyas or Vyasdev, or we call Vyasa. Sitting in his ashram, Vyasdev listened what the dialogue went on between Krishna and Arjuna, and later on he put into the word. So Vyasdev or Vyasji or Vedavyas, he composed Bhagavad Gita, and it is in Sanskrit language, and it was given at the battleground, and so that is it. So if we go to the very first the sloka of the Gita Dhyana, meditation on Gita, the first sloka. Om पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना ते महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादश अध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्धामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। ॐ नमो श्री भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमो नमः। This was the very first verse of the Gita Dhyana. Parthayo Pratibodhitam. It was taught to Parth first. Who is Parth? The Arjuna's another name was Parth. Why? Because Arjuna's mother was Kunti, and mother Kunti's another name was Pritha. So mother Pritha's son Arjuna was known as Parth. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna loved to call Arjuna as Parth because Lord Krishna continuously reminding Arjuna that about his mother, because those days the mother Kunti, one of the most known women of our country, her personality, her caring, her dedication, her sacrifice, her strong willpower, her encouragement to her children to face the challenge of the life, all these things combined, the put Mother Kunti at such a place that she's always being worshipped by the entire community. Parthayo Pratibuddhang Narayanena Swayam. Narayan is Lord Vishnu. He is the protector of this world. And if you remember during the period of the discussion of the Bhakti Sutra, I always say that Lord Vishnu is the protector of this world. His duty to preserve and give protection to everybody. You might say, Swamiji, what is happening all around the world? How Lord Vishnu protecting? And I also mentioned, if you remember, that nothing happened without the wish of God. Whatsoever happening, because this is how Lord wanted. And what is going to happen in future also is the wish of the Lord. Thy wish will be done. Your wish will be done. So, Bhagavan Narayan, Lord Sri Vishnu himself taught. This is one of the big difference of the Hinduism and the other faith of this world. Because it is not a message. It was not a message. It's not came from anywhere. It was delivered by the Lord himself, God himself. That is a big difference between the philosophy of the other faith and the Hinduism. Vyasena Grothitam, the Vyasdev composed it. Purana Munina, very ancient saint. India known for the saint and sages. India known the mother of the religion of this world. India is the birthplace of the many philosophy. India is the country where always teaching the world that peace, if you want to bring peace, please divert your mind to the higher goal of life. So, Mother India gave birth so much famous saint and sages, endless. And we read in the book that even the gods and goddesses are so anxious to take birth in that soil. Madhya Mahabharatam. What is Mahabharata? One of the most known epic. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the part of that epic Mahabharatam. Advaita Amrita Varshini. Advaita, what is Advaita? That during the period of your meditation, when you meditate on the appearance of the Lord, or beauties of the Lord, or wonders of the Lord, or glories of the Lord, at a certain time in our meditation, we feel that we are being lost in the vast divinity of the Lord. You feel like you and the Lord is one. There is no separate identity between you and your Lord. And that means you become one, Advaita. Oh Lord, you and me, like Swami Pranavananda ji used to say many times, that Guru Shishya look like, even today when people did not see Swami Pranavananda, but when people come to temple, they see us. They try to see Swami Pranavananda through us. We try to understand Lord Krishna through the eyes of the devotees of Bhagavan Krishna. So Advaita Amrita Varshing. So as I was telling at the beginning of today's lecture, that Amrita Varshini is like showering nectar. It will be showering nectar. Bhagavad Gita will be showering nectar. We'll be drinking that Gita nectar. Ashtadasha Adhyayinim. It has 18 chapters, 700 verses. Ambo, that is the most important one in this sloka. Most important word. Ambo means goddess Durga. The mother Durga. The goddess Durga, we worship her as the mother of this universe. Mata me Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Our mother is Ma Parvati, or goddess Durga. And here, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is being introduced as Devi Bhagavati Durga, Amba. Why? Because we all, mother always give to her children. All mother, regardless their religious background, regardless their color, regardless which country they are being born, whatever language they speak, all mother of this world, they all are same. They love to sacrifice their life for her children, for their children. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita, it will be always giving to us. Remember the word of Mahatma Gandhi say that whenever Mahatma Gandhi was the leader of the Indian independent movement. He's being known as the father of the Indian nation, modern Indian nation. And he said that whenever I see darkness everywhere, whenever I'm confused, I cannot find out the way to get out of this confusion, I always go into the Bhagavad Gita, find out one sloka from here, one verses from there, and immediately I smile. So devotees, or those who are listening today, I'm telling you that if you have any problem, if you have any difficulties in your life, if you feel that you're feeling mentally weak, if you feel that you're feeling a little down in any way, and if you go to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you will see how Mother Bhagavad Gita is there to help you, and it's for all age. It's not for the old people, it's for everybody. Gita Brahma Vidya. It will take you out of your danger and give you all kind of protection. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is being known Amba, Devi Amba, or Devi Durga. Tvam Anusandadhami, O Mother Gita, we meditate unto thee. Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini. You are the giver of the what you call mukti, moksha, nirvana, emancipation, or liberation, whatever word you say. It is Bhagavad Gita. It's a Bhavadveshini. It removes all kind of fear from our mind. It's such a unique scripture. You will see as we move forward bit by bit, and you will how much you will like. Gita me Hridayam Parth. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that, O Parth, Gita me Hridayam. Hridayam means heart, the soul. Gita me Hridayam Parth. Gita me Saram Uttamam. Gita is my best advice, counseling, or whatever I want to say. The purpose Lord Krishna came to this world is the Bhagavad Gita, to deliver this unique scripture to the world. And if you see that many universities, many philosophers, the professor, and many students all around the world, they're doing research on Bhagavad Gita, and they see that such a wonderful scripture. and that they did not know even. It's so beautiful and so much English. The verse, the copies of the translation of Bhagavad Gita is available in the market now, because lots of the research scholars from many nations in this country, they are translating the in the Bhagavad Gita in their own language, so that people of that country also can use it in their life. Gita me jnanam attugram. Gita is my highest form of knowledge. And Gita me jnanam abhyam. It is the immortal lessons. Everything changed. Bhagavad Gita will never change. It is eternal, ever existing. It will remain there always. Like our father read, we reading, our great grandfather read, ancestor read, generation after generation, hundreds and thousands of years, they're reading Bhagavad Gita. And they're finding peace, solace. They're finding the way out, how to get out of the problem. And devotees, I'm strongly believe that if people can use the teachings of Bhagavad Gita at this time of great turmoil in the world, they will find out a way to get out of this problem, and they will be able to, they will smile again. There's a particular reason these things going on in the world. And one of the reason is like how we getting opportunity to sit down and listen and discuss Bhagavad Gita. If it is a normal time, we would not do these things. Gita me uttamam sthanam. Lord Krishna, wherever Gita book is being kept, wherever Bhagavad Gita is being discussed, wherever devotees listen, talk of the Bhagavad Gita, he is there always. And we believe today at this place, those who are listening in your home, wherever you are, wherever I am here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna is present there listening our discussion. So, one thing I would like to say here, I'm talking of the Lord Sri Krishna or Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Krishna is one of the name of the Supreme, to whom we call God or Bhagavan. Maybe the same God and same Bhagavan is being worshipped by the other faith or the people of around the world in other name or in other form. So because honestly, God has no name, no form, no color, no hands and feet. And again, God has many hands, many names, many feet, many eyes. He here, there, everywhere. He's in your home, in our ashram. He's outside, in the sky. He's in the land, in the water. He's in the forest. He's in the mountain. Everywhere he is present. Sarvogyapi Narayana. So God is all-pervading. His nature is all-pervading. Gita me uttamam sthanam, Gita me paramam padam. We worship Bhagavad Gita. If you go to a Gurudwara, you will see that the Sikh people, devotees from the Sikh religion, they worshipping the religious book, Granth Sahib. Once I was traveling to the Assam, in the Assam state of India, there is many Namghar. There's a saint in the Assam called Shankar Dev, and he introduced that it's a Vaishnav, they follow the Vaishnavism, and they worship Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran as the prime deity there. There is no murti. So we supposed to do the Bhagavad Gita also the same way, because before we touch the book, we supposed to bow it. Before we leave the book also, we need to do pranam, because Shraddhavan Lavati Gyanam. The Shraddha or respect, that's a big thing, most important thing. And it will, so the Bhagavad Gita then gradually it will reveal its inner meaning, secret meaning in our mind. Gita me paramo gujjham, most secret knowledge. It's not for everybody. Everybody is not ready for it. Because you see here in the temple, Swamiji Bhagavad Gita, at the Kurukshetra battleground, Lord Krishna gave these teachings to Arjuna. No, it is not like that. To study Bhagavad Gita properly, it needs almost 12 years of time. 12 years of time we need to read the whole Bhagavad Gita properly. It's not like that we know, this teaching was giving Lord Krishna at the battleground of Kurukshetra. Gita me paramo guru. Who is a guru? Gukaraha andhakaraha. Gukar means darkness. Darkness means wrong understanding. You embracing, you drinking poison, thinking it is nectar. That is called illusion, wrong understanding. Or you walking in a dark road and you see a piece of stick falling, you think it's a snake. Actually, it's a dry piece of wood. You thinking it's a snake lying there. It's also a wrong, it's called bhranti. So, Gita में परमो गुज्जम, Gita में परमो guru. Gukara andhakara. Gukar means wrong understanding. Rukara tan nirodhakaha. Someone, some kind of teaching that remove it. So hope and pray by that the Bhagavad Gita, these teachings will help us to remove all fear, all three kind of fear and all kind of confusion from our mind. So we could smile again, our smile, we can togetherly smile again. Gita Asraya Aham Tishtami. Lord Krishna say that Gita Asraya Aham Tishtami, the knowledge of the Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna say, I am there. And Gita me paramo griham, the abode, Lord Krishna say that Gita is my best abode. I stay there, like how staying in a home, inside a home. Similarly, Lord Krishna say, the Bhagavan say, the Lord say, he is in the Bhagavad Gita, in the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And Gita Gyanam Shamasrita Trilokam Paloyami Aham. Lord, protect this world. He preserved this world by following the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. It's such a wonderful thing. It's very highly philosophical knowledge, and also it will make us the best human being in the world. You will see how much we go bit by bit, bit by bit. So now today we'll be discussing on the first chapter. The first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is being known as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The sadness of Arjuna. I mentioned at the beginning of today's lecture that Arjuna was the first student of Bhagavad Gita. Who was Arjuna? Arjuna was the third Pandava brother. There were 5 brothers. He was known for heroism. Arjuna was a symbol of dedication, determination, bravery, one-pointedness, self-confidence. Arjuna was the symbol of heroism. He was the best student of the military school of his teacher, Guru Dronacharya. He was the friend of Lord Krishna. He had all the divine weapons in his quiver, and he has Gandiva bow. Arjuna was in fact invincible. A symbol of self-confidence. When Arjuna entering the battleground, Lord Krishna driving his chariot. Can you imagine? A picture of a battleground. You could imagine those days battleground. Like nowadays, the face-to-face battle is very rare, but we're talking of the thousands of years back when soldiers used to go, army people used to go away from the cities and villages in open ground, and the battle happened face-to-face. Elephant, horses, bows, arrows, all those are being used, sword, fighting. So picture of a battleground. And the result of this battle was depending on the success of Arjuna. Lord Krishna, I know that I'm talking of a battle, but battle is never wanted in this. We don't want a battle. We are the peace-loving people. We look for peace. We pray that, oh Lord, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Do Shanti, Antariksham Shanti, Prithvi Shanti. Oh Lord, there should be peace everywhere in this world. But our prayer always do not work. We saw in our lifetime so many, you read of the story of the First World War. You read the stories of the Second World War. And right now, what is going on in this coronavirus, these things look like more than a combined thing. First and second World War, what you see is the entire world is involved now. Entire world fighting. It's like one of the greatest enemy of the mankind. Look like is going to destroy the whole race of mankind. So naturally, we have to be very bold and fight this battle and win this battle also. We have to win this battle. We have to subdue this enemy. We have to destroy this enemy. We have to kill this enemy permanently to save the future generation. Because every day you're getting hearing, this person dies, this person dies, so many people die. It's like a real battle going on right now. And battlefield, any battlefield, always soldiers are they die there, and they're being wounded, they die. The same thing happening right now. It's a real battle going on all around the world. It's not one country involved. It's not a one portion of the world involved. It's the entire world is involved in this battle. And we togetherly fighting to get out of this battle and win this enemy. We have to win. There is no option open. And Bhagavad Gita will help us and show us direction, develop that confidence and that stamina and that kind of what you call patience to discover weapon. Here weapon means medicine or vaccine. When I say weapon, we are fighting the coronavirus, this enemy. So we have to discover the weapon. Weapon here I mean the vaccine or the medicine, which will be helping us to dominate this enemy. And we'll see how it happened. I mentioned a picture of a battleground. The name of the battleground is Kurukshetra. It's around 80 kilometers from modern New Delhi city. I went there many times. And in that battleground, one side, the Kaurava, two groups of army, already they are being, battle arrays is being set up, everything is set up, all the supply channel, everything done. It was Lord Krishna tried to stop this battle, but he failed because looked like it was imminent. It's supposed to happen. And even Lord Krishna could not stop this battle. So we see that battleground, two sides are standing there ready to get involved in that battle. In that moment, Arjuna, as I mentioned, the symbol of self-confidence and bravery. Arjuna was weapon with all the good qualities, best human being. He was the best among men. So he was standing on the chariot. He was determined to dominate the enemy, all the injustice, lawlessness, all the adharma, unrighteousness to this world. He wanted to remove it permanently from this world. And can you imagine Lord Krishna, whom we worship as God himself, he was driving the chariot of Arjuna. If you remember in our last two sessions, we are talking of the 9 form of devotion that we can worship Lord as our friend, Shakha. Lord, you are my friend. Tameva mata cha pita tameva bandhuscha shakha tameva. Oh Lord, you are my friend. So Arjuna worship Lord as friend. But this time when Arjuna entered the battleground and Lord Krishna was sitting in the driver's seat, Arjuna did not know the person who is driving his chariot is the father of this world, creator of this world, source of this world, root of this world. And this is also one of the big difference between other faith and the Hindu faith. Because I am telling that Lord Krishna was none other than God himself. So when we say God, we mean that almighty, all-pervading, all-merciful, that infinite, wonderful, unique. I'm talking of that. It's not a person, that power. whom Vedanta telling that is the Brahman. So that Brahman, in the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, we see that he took a human form and sitting down at the driver's seat. Very difficult to understand it also, because God driving chariot for his devotees. We sing, there's just one line, दुर्योधन के मेवा त्यागो सागो विदुर घर खाई सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई. Above everything, love dominate everything in this world. Sweet word, a little sympathetic word, a word with sweetness and sympathy, love can conquer your biggest enemy. Love is above everything. So because of the love of Arjuna to Krishna, Lord Krishna even accepted to drive his chariot, because he requested the Lord, "Oh Lord, Kurukshetra battleground is like a big forest, Amazon forest. I might be lost anytime, anywhere. That the battleground where I needed the most, maybe I will not be able to reach there in time. Like you enter Amazon forest or Himalayan jungle, you are being lost, you don't know how to get out, how to take the right route, and you need to reach the right place, right time. You cannot do that. You need a guide." So Arjuna chose Lord Krishna as his guide, and he requested the Lord in that big battlefield of life, "Please drive me to the right time at the right place and direct me to the right direction of life." Those who read the Kathopanishad, the Vedanta, is see that Atmanang Rathinang Vidhi Shariram Rathamevuti. Atmanang Rathinang Vidhi Shariram Rathamevuti. Buddhing to Sarathi. Sarathi means the driver. Atmanang Rathi. Rathi means the person who is the passenger or who is riding that chariot. Shariram Ratho. The body is being known as chariot. So body is the chariot and Atma is the Rathi, is riding this chariot. Buddhi Sarathi means the driver. That is our intellect, good intellect, clear intellect, fine intellect, right intellect. That is the driver. So Arjuna was lucky that the Lord Krishna drove his chariot at the battleground so that Arjuna become the winner of life. But what about us? We don't have Krishna with us. And that is why Kathopanishad say, Vedanta say that your buddhi, your right understanding, your clear intellect, your wisdom is the driver. Use that fine and clear intellect so that it could guide you to the right path of life. Life is a long journey. There's so much of thorns, so much of holes everywhere. There's so much possibility that we might fall down. We might fall down mentally, physically, intellectually, spirituality. There might be so much of downfall in life. Sometimes we stand up, smile, sometimes we cry. But we need to use our sharthi, the buddhi intellect, to help us to again stand up and move forward. So buddhi to sarathi. So Lord Krishna was sitting at the chariot of Arjuna, driving to the right direction of life. Now, Arjuna entered the battleground. We see very first verse of the chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita that is very interesting, because only the first verse, sometimes it takes 1 month to explain. At the palace of the Hastinapur, the king Dhritarashtra, who was blind by birth, was asking his minister or charioteer, Sanjaya, who was given the Divya Drishti, the vision by Vasudev. So King Dhritarashtra asked his minister Sanjay, can you please tell me what is going on in the battleground? Dharmokshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yujutsava Mamukaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Kurvata Sanjaya. The very first verse of the first chapter. Dhritarashtra Uvacho Dharmokshetre Kurukshetre. The battleground is known as Kurukshetra, is a place of righteousness. So to you and to me, this entire world is Kurukshetra battleground. This entire world is our Dharmokshetra also, our Karma Bhumi. This entire world, not only America, because we working for the entire world. So this entire world is the Karma Bhumi, Dharmokshetra, Kurukshetra for us. So Dharmokshetra, Kurukshetra, Samaveta Jujutsavaha, willing, eager to fight each other. Mamukaha Pandavaschaiva, my people and the people of my brother Pandava, Pandu, what they are doing there. So that was the question of the King Dhritarashtra. So I mentioned that King Dhritarashtra was blind by birth, unfortunately, but then mentally, intellectually also he was blind. So this is one of the very important things that sometimes our eyes, we can see what is going on outside, but mentally we remain blind. We don't allow to enter good wishes, wisdom, or we don't allow them to penetrate it in our mind. And so we put our foot into the wrong place. So Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra. So why Kurukshetra battleground was so auspicious? Because devotees are that Kurukshetra is one of the most known pilgrim site of India. From ancient time, the Kurukshetra remained, even that civilization was grown as beside the river of the Saraswati River, and Saraswati River used to flow in the Kurukshetra, that area. Many the wonderful immortal scripture was written at the bank of the Saraswati River, that is Kurukshetra, the Haryana state and the Punjab state, that side. And age after age, rishis, munis, yogis, they go to the Kurukshetra, they do austerities, they do meditation hour after hour to understand, to know God. So by the presence of the thousands of holy men, saints, and devotees, the Kurukshetra become one of the most pious and holy place of the entire world, because that is the place we went there, the place where the Bhagavad Gita was delivered to Arjuna first. We waited there, myself and then a couple of the other members of the team, and we meditated there and up to 10 o'clock in the night, and we feel the vibration of the place that day. So, and also here you see Mamuka, my and your, this division, this belongs to me and that belongs to me. Sometimes I will say one example. When a family become parent, mother of one or two child, that motherhood or fatherhood is supposed to extend to everywhere. Supposed to see all children is her children, all children are his children, his family. Our rishis and munis, they taught this world is but one family. This world is but one family. We are the member of a big family. But then here you see Kurukshetra, the king Dhritarashtra asking, Mamukaha Pandavaschaiva. Pandu was his younger brother. So younger brother children also is the two big brother, younger brother children also his children. But being he was blind by birth, he was blind also intellectually also he was blind. So Dharmakshetri Kurukshetri Samveta Jujutsavaha Mamuka Pandavaschaiva Kimu Purvata Sanjaya. Oh Sanjay, can you please tell me what my people and the people of Pandu, what they're doing there? So that was the very first the sloka of this, the first chapter. And you could see here that the way the Bhagavad Gita started with a question. And there will be so much of question in your mind. And also I mentioned that this entire world is a battleground for us, to you, to me, for the entire world today especially. Also, this is a place for Dharma Kshetra. This world is a Dharma Kshetra for us. This is the place we'll be doing tapasya. Before we depart from this world, we do tapasya or whatever spiritual practices we do right here. Because after this body fall down, we cannot do those things anymore. And when all the things was done, the narration was given who is participating in the battle, the names of the well-known heroes and the soldiers and commanders and army men, all those was given that time. Arjuna entered in the battleground. You could imagine, think of a picture, a beautiful chariot drawn by 4 white horses. A very beautiful chariot drawn by 4 white horses. On the top of the chariot, there is a flag. Emblem is Hanumanji. We know Hanumanji, the foremost devotee of Lord Rama, because Hanumanji was sitting in the flag in the top of the Arjuna's chariot and was screaming. And that's because he was loud, he was screaming, and that's how the opposition army was feeling down. And overall, the Lord Krishna himself was sitting in this chariot, holding by his left hand with the string of the horses, and right hand little bit uplifted, holding a whip. Look like he's trying to keep control of the horses. Arjuna was standing there, holding his Gandhiva bow. And I mentioned he was the exact perfect symbol of the self-confidence. Guruji, Swami Pranavanandaji say that what are the greatest friend of your life? So Swami Pranavananda say self-confidence, believe in yourself, never feel mentally weak at any time. If you have a good desire, if you try hard, surely you'll be able to achieve that. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a scientist, if you be an astronaut, whatsoever, you want to discuss something, you want to be a successful businessman, you believe in yourself and try hard, surely you'll be able to achieve that. If failure comes, must know failure is another step for further improvement in life. So always welcome failure and criticism because it will help you more mature and more careful. So Arjuna uttered this word. Lord is telling Lord Krishna, Lord, can you please place my chariot in between the 2 armies so that I could see who is here to fight with me? Can you imagine? Lord Krishna telling, Arjuna telling, Atho Vyavasthitan Drishtva Dhartarashtra'n Kapidhajaha Pravitte Shastra Sampade Dhanuruddhama Pandavaha. Arjuna picked up his bow, Gandiva bow, almost ready to release his arrows. Dhanuruddhama Pandavaha Rishikesham Tada Vakyam Idamaha Mohipati. He uttered this word, or he said this word to Rishikesh, Lord Krishna. What he say? Senayor ubhayor moddhe ratham sthapayo me achyuta. Hey Achyuta. Achyuta means, Achyuta is another name of Lord Krishna. Hey Achyuta, hey Krishna, please place my chariot in between the 2 armies. any careful army person, like right now there is a tension between India and China. And I occasionally hear, because I don't know what's going on in China, but we read the Indian news that Indian army chief, going, and he went before also, and he recently also, he went to the Chinese border to see the preparation in case a battle break out between China and India. Thanks God it did not happen, because at this hour of crisis, we don't want a battle between two countries, which is the largest human population in the country. So there could be a massive destruction. Thanks God that both sides, their good wishes prevail, and both sides cool down right now. So, but you could see the army chief. He went couple of times to India border area to see the arrangement of his persons. So similarly, Lord Arjuna also wanted to observe the opposition army. So Rishikesham tada vakyam idam ahu mohipate senayor ubhayor moddhe ratham sthapayo me achyuto. He achyuto, he Narayan, he Krishna, can you please place my chariot in between the two? Now, O Lord of the earth, seeing your sons and so, sinner, ready to be heard, Arjuna, who had the figure of Hanuman on the flag of his chariot, took up his bow and then addressed the following words to Krishna. Krishna, place my chariot between the two armies, observing the army. And that was a very, very kind of critical time. Both side armies are standing ready. They blew their sails also, everything ready. Only the first arrow was not released. So Arjuna now looking at the opposition army. What he see there? He see there his teacher. The person who taught him how to hold the bow and arrow, that Acharya Drona, teacher Drona, Guru Drona was standing there. Guru Drona was invincible. Nobody can defeat him in battle. And whatever Arjuna learned, and all it was taught by his Guru Dronacharya, and he's standing in the opposition army leading. And we worshipping Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo. We do pranam to the feet of Guruji. And here Arjuna saw his Guruji himself standing in the opposition army in the front line. And he knew very well that Guru Dronacharya was invincible. And there was, he saw Bhishma, great grandfather. We call Bhishma, Pitamaha. Bhishma has the, if he wish, he will die. Whenever he wish, he will die. And again, he was invincible. I mean, no arrow can kill him. Only if he wish, he will die. That Bhishma, great grandfather, was leading the opposition army. And there was brother, distant relative, friends, the school friend, the colleagues, many people, they grow up togetherly in their childhood days, they all standing in front of him. Seeing that this situation, Arjuna was so much of kind of, he could see that what the Vedabhyas writing Vyasdev, Drishti Arjuna Vacha, Drishti Mam Swajanam Krishna, Judutsum Samopistitam, Siddhanti Mamo Gatrani Mukham Cha Parishusyati, Bepothuscha Sharireme, Romo Harshuscha Jayati, Gandivam Sransate Hasta, Twak Chaiva Paridajyati, Nacha Shaknami Avusthatum, Brahmati Vochami Manaha, Nimityami Me Pashyami Vipuritani Keshava, Nacha Sreonush Pashyami Hatva Sajanamaha. The Arjuna, who was the symbol of self-confidence, bravery, one-pointedness, the Arjuna who was determined to punish the evildoer, Arjuna who thought he will be wiping out all the injustice and lawlessness from this world. Same Arjuna telling, Bepotuscha Sharire me Romoharsha. Arjuna say, I see these kinsmen added in the battle. My limbs give away. My mouth is getting dried. A shiver runs through my body. Hair stands on end, and all these so on. So Arjuna was getting sad. You remember the first chapter was known as Arjuna Bishada Yoga. This is the first step of the yoga. In the spiritual life, first step. Just imagine that you went to a funeral home. You see in front of your eyes a person push into the burning place, and next day you go, you give us a can of ash. Or you went to the graveyard, you see in front of our eyes, the people who work in the graveyard, they dig a big hole, putting the whole box under the mud and then cover with the mud. So by seeing that scene in front of your own eyes, a kind of temporary, you lose kind of interest in life. This is called temporary detachment. It don't last long. After 1 or 2 days, you forget it. And because you feel sad. Right now, what's going on in the around? It continuously, like today phone call came. Somebody called me, Swamiji, my father passed away because of the COVID-19. My mother also affected. Right now, today I got a phone call. Even the sister also infected. We're getting the news, a young woman, only one. She has one child. She was an officer. And then she also got COVID and she also passed away. So it's like a battlefield. Soldiers are falling at the battleground. And you get depressed, you get kind of, you get sadness. So it's a first step of the spiritual life. So sadness, melancholy, confusion, and duality of life, all these are counted as the first step of spiritual life. This is a sign of the improvement in your spiritual journey. So Arjuna says, Nimittami cha pashyami viparitani Keshava, Nakangshi Vijayam Krishna. The same Arjuna telling, hey Krishna, I don't want victory. For what we are in the battleground? For a piece of land? You hear sometimes in the court, maybe the person in your neighbor, maybe your tree fell down to his land, and then he took you to court, and the lawyer also took money from both sides, and it could be simply, it could be mutually, you could talk and do something instead of going to the court for little mistake. Or say that you have a road to enter your house and you put a fence there, and the neighbor send you a lawyer notice, you go to the court and fighting. It's like a what? The neighbor, if you are in danger, you never come fast. If you are in great danger, your neighbor will be rushing to your home to help you fast, not the people living in India or somewhere else. And what we're fighting for, a piece of land. Such a kind of misunderstanding, such a kind of wrong understanding we're keeping in our mind. So Arjuna becomes so depressed and keep expressing his sadness. And devotees, I mentioned that sadness, sorrows, melancholy, frustration, duality, confusion, these are the part of the life. And always think that when you are going through the phase of melancholy, depression, sadness of life, that means a great change coming to your life. Like what is going on in all around the world today, how people are depressed, afraid, fearful, they don't know what to do. They're trying to save their own family somehow, forget the other family, forget what's happening in the world. Let me try to protect my own family. So, but I'm telling, you will see when all these things will finish, it will be a new world, a vibrant, beautiful, wonderful world. Battle will be over and we will be victorious again. So Arjuna becomes so depressed, and then he was giving example that, hey Krishna, that that what is interesting here, Even though Krishna was driving his chariot, Arjuna did not know that Krishna was God himself. And also, Krishna was looking this opportunity because the one of the purpose of Lord Krishna's coming to this world to give this immortal teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So what was happening in Arjuna's life, all this battle, Arjuna's sadness, all this confusion. So this was a right moment because Lord Krishna knew it was happening because he wanted this way. So he will be delivering these immortal lessons to us, to you, to everybody in this world. Any person, any intelligent person who will be studying Bhagavad Gita properly, he will clearly understand the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. To take you, Bhagavad Gita will be holding your hand, will be a journey, long journey, 18 chapters, 700 verses, a long journey. And at the end of this journey, Bhagavad Gita will help you to cross this big shore and it will take you to the other shore of life. Means it will give you the taste of divinity, surely. And so when Arjuna became so much of frustrated and depressed, he was bringing a lot of examples that, oh Lord, that for a piece of land, we are going to kill so much of people in this battleground. Alas, nobody thinking. The wisdom is not prevailing here. How people become so selfish. And I don't care. Even I'm unarmed and the opposition people kill me in this battle. Still, I don't want to get involved in this battle. You could imagine the way Arjuna was changed. One example. I came to this country, I was coming from Mumbai or Bombay in 1994, 8 December. So how the real field and imagination is different. I'm giving an example. So what Arjuna thought, going to the battleground, he'll conquer his enemy, that he thought. But when he came to the real field, the battleground, he got so much of depressed that he almost broke down. His body was shivering, he was sweaty, he cannot stand up, his Gandhi bow was falling down from his shoulder, his skin was burning, his buddhi was completely invaded by sadness. He was a symbol of sorrows and sadness, confusion and melancholy. Same Arjuna. So when I came to this country, I came to December 8 December 1994. I landed in the New York City. So the way we used to think America, people used to think, oh, you go to America, look like you go to heaven. It's a real heaven. When you in the Delhi airport, when you see people coming out from the airport, you feel like they're so fortunate. Oh, they are like God coming out of the plane. I'm sure you all have your own experience. But when you landed the real field, it was December, so cold. And then we go outside of the, especially Queens area, if you go outside, oh my God. And those experience, so it takes so many years to adjust, to break that kind of things, what you brought from India, and then prepare yourself to face the real world. So it was happening to Arjuna. So he becomes so depressed and he was bringing lots of example. For example, here, Lord Arjuna telling to Lord Krishna that Ahobato Utsanna Kulodharmanam. Arjuna said that, oh Lord, can you imagine in this battleground, so many people will die. So many people, the women they will be losing their husband. They will be losing their brother. Children will be losing their father. Father will be losing their son. And Ahobato Mahat Papam. We are going to commit great sin. And in no way we should get involved in this battle. In one way, that we say that because of the Kurukshetra battleground, because it was a holy place, pilgrim site, the effect of that holy place also influenced Arjuna a lot. because of the influence of that. You can just imagine if you go to a pilgrim site, like say for example, you went to a temple, and when you go to your job or office or marketplace, the way you think. But when you come to the Bharat Sevasran temple and see the beautiful murtis of the gods and goddesses, you are a changed person because environment is different. So the environment of Kurukshetra was like that because of the influence and the tapasya of many saints and sages. Arjuna's mind was changed. And then he was worried that then after the battle there will be a lot of mixture in the people, and there will be nobody will be offering pindas, nobody will be doing the oblation ceremony. Right now when somebody die in your family or in any family, we do the oblation ceremony, we do the pin rice while offering rituals, all those. There will nobody to do all these things. So Arjuna was afraid that he will be the cause of this destruction of the society. Thinking of the terrible effect of the battle, arjuna become Arjuna lost interest in his life. He even mentioned to Krishna that, oh Krishna, instead of getting involved in this battle, I would prefer to live a life for begging, collecting alms, like how we monk go to people home, lock the door, and then when the sisters or mother come outside that we are from Bharat Sevasram, can you please give a donation or some alms? We will give rice, dal, vegetable, or money, whatsoever. So Arjuna was thinking that instead of getting involved in the battle, it's better I beg and survive. So imagine when he came, when five brothers was leaving for the battleground, Kunti, their mother, told one word to her big son, that Krishna, tell Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was the big brother of Arjuna. So Mother Kunti told Krishna that, oh Krishna, please remind Yudhishthira that the purpose a Kshatriya mother, a warrior mother, give birth to a child, that time has come. Can you imagine the mother Kunti reminding? She's not telling, oh, don't go to the battleground. If you might die in the battleground too. She's not telling that. She's telling Krishna, remind my son that the purpose a Kshatriya mother give birth to a son, that time has come. And then Arjuna forgot all the insult went on his life. He forgot all the insult went to his own wife also, all the injustice. Even the enemies tried to kill them, burning alive. So Arjuna forgot all these things, and then he was even ready to leave the battleground and go to the monastic life. So do you think that Krishna will be good? Krishna going to support that? No. So before we conclude today, couple of the points. First, the moment came to deliver the teachings of Gita, because Arjuna was sad, Arjuna was anxious to get the right guidance, Arjuna's mind was soil was ready to plant the right seed. Arjuna's all the preparation went on. He was ready to receive the higher lesson of spiritual life. So that is one of the main point. And the second point is that background was ready for this immortal teachings. While the both side armies are standing, you could imagine a big battleground, two side armies are standing. They don't know what's going on in the middle of the battleground. So Krishna and Arjuna talking, and then at the end, Arjuna sat down the chariot, putting his hand on his head here and telling Krishna, I'm not going to fight. It was a shame for him. If I was in the Arjuna's place, never I would do that. It's a duty. It's a responsibility. Arjuna was a professional soldier. He was trained. He was an army man. The army man, when they are duty to protect their border of their country, to listen the order of the superiors, to maintain the laws and order of the country. Like when the problem was going on, so usually the head of the country, they call the army to maintain the laws and order of the country. So he was trained for that purpose. All kind of training went on. And then Arjuna was completely convinced Arjuna was illusion, a kind of wrong kind of thought, because he was trying to run away from the duties and responsibilities. You all run a family. You know that to run a family is a kind of high responsibility. You have to earn money, make sure everybody is being protected in the home, food supply is there, the fees in the school college are being paid, all the bills are being paid, and everything is okay in the home. So it's a responsibility, and you cannot run away from the neglecting your responsibility. So Arjuna's situation was that he was trying to run away from the responsibility. No way he can do that. Nobody will support that. And more than that, Arjuna's enemy side will be smiling and talking a lot of bad of him, because those days Arjuna was a role model to many of the people. He was the best brother. He was the best husband. He was the best student in the military school. He was dedicated to the feet of his mother. He was the leading army person. He was invincible. He, in his quiver, he had all the weapons. You know, before the battle happened, somebody asked Arjuna, how long you will take to win this battle? So Arjuna said, I can destroy the whole entire opposition army within moment. I have that weapon with me. It's called Pashupata Astra. Weapon was given by Lord Shiva. You see, if I use that weapon within moment, the whole entire opposition army will be finished. And the same Arjuna was trying to avoid to perform his duty and trying to run away. He said he was a symbol of sadness. And the devotees, that from the people like us, those people live in the spiritual life, from the spiritual angle, this is a very good sign. It's a time for progress, because we see in the monastery, monks get depressed. They get very much, it's called spiritual depression. What is spiritual depression? Spiritual depression is that, like for example, us, we have been living in monastery many years. Like I'm living almost 46 years now. 46 years. I have been living in monastery. But sometimes anger comes, sometimes temptation comes. Some devotee brought good mango. It's a good quality mango, some devotee will. So I supposed to offer that mango to God first, then take it as prasadam. But sometimes because the mango color, and as soon as I see the mango, the temptation come without offering to God, I eat the first mango. And I'm ashamed to tell you, one time last year, I think last year I went to Florida. So Fort Lauderdale, Florida produce a lot of good mango. So I was speaking on the Bhagavad Gita. It's a satsang. I was speaking on the Bhagavad Gita. Then my eyes went to the Shiva Lingam, and I see that some devotees, they're bringing fresh mango from their garden, ripe mango, colorful mango, and offering to Lord Shiva. So while I'm speaking the Bhagavad Gita, I'm thinking after I finish the lecture, the people who, my host, I will tell her, go and pick up some of the mango from there. So then depression come. Why this greed coming? Why this temptation coming? After all these years of meditation, writing Bhagavad Gita, why this kind of temptation come? Then naturally I get sad. And this sadness is a sign of spiritual improvement. So what Arjuna was depressed and sad and full of melancholy, confused, lost his self-confidence, all these are the great sign for Arjuna to lift up himself in the higher spiritual lesson. So in case you get anytime sadness, so do not think that everything is finished. No, It's a sign of improvement again. So I'll be finishing now. Let me go to the last verse of the this chapter. Sanjaya informing to his master. Arjuna decided he's not going to get involved in this battle. He completely broke down. He just sat down on the chariot, putting aside his bows and arrows. I can't imagine Arjuna such a person. Arjuna was the role model to the society. From every side, his concentration, his focusedness, his willing to learn everything, his hard work. He used to practice archery even midnight when everybody is sleeping. In midnight, he used to practice. So he could throw arrow by both hands. So that Arjuna, if that Arjuna, where even the Lord Krishna sitting on his chariot, got sadness, what about us? We don't have anybody to help us. Sometimes we are so lonely, sometimes we are so alone. Sometimes there are people who don't understand us. Sometimes we don't see anybody helping us. So, and we get so much depressed. So what about us? How we will be moving forward in life? So that here we'll be learning from the next lessons. So let me finish here today that Arjuna said that if those people kill me unarmed, so I don't mind. So such a way he was so much of depressed. So Sanjay informing his master King Dhritarashtra in the Hastinapur palace, Evo Muktar Junah Shankhe Rathopastupa Vishad Vistrijya Sasarang Chapum Shoko Sambigna Manasa. Oh, so beautiful. Sanjaya said, O King Arjuna, whose mind was agitated by grief on the battlefield, having spoken thus, and having cast aside his bow and arrows, sank into the hinder part of his chariot. So what we see in this chapter, that how Arjuna entered to the battleground, holding his Gandiva bow straight, eyes was full of determination and strength and bravery. At the end of the chapter, Arjuna was completely broke down, full of sadness, and looking for some kind of help from somebody. He put his bows and arrows one side and put his hand here and sat down. I'm not going to get involved in this battle. So that was the whole background of the Bhagavad Gita teachings. So it is the wish of the Lord. He created this kind of climate so that he could deliver the immortal teachings. And you will like it, that as we will be moving forward. So starting our life as the beginning the spiritual journey with sadness. And then we'll be learning how to get out of this sadness, complete our journey, complete our duty, complete the mission of our life. And when we leave this world, we leave this world as a successful human being. Because that that sloka I want to recite here, that who live in this world, Kirtiri Jassu Sajivati. You and me, hundreds and thousands of people came to this world and they are being gone. Recently, I went to the burial ground in the sadly Dr. Mihir Kumar Basu passed away. So last Saturday, we went to the cremation ground. I could see there thousands of such a big, like you and me, they came to this country, they tried for their green card, they to become the citizen, they did everything, they buy home, they ride Mercedes car, all are quiet now. But before that day to come to us, we should leave something behind. So even if you are a mother, if you are a parent, leave your children, prepare your children so that the generation, your family will be purified, your family will be liberated, your family will be proud for your children. He lived in this world who leave behind his legacy. So I think that is enough today, and we will be starting the lessons, the real lessons of the Bhagavad Gita from next Tuesday, and hopefully you will like it. And in the meantime, if you have little bit time, read a little bit chapter 1, chapter 2, so that it will be, we all will be better prepared to understand, because we'll be going deep into the spiritual life. We'll be sinking, we'll be actually like how Bhagavad Gita is a Pacific Ocean, we'll be diving deep under of it and try to bring out the cream of it so that we all could be benefited.